Howdy. So I added this step 3.1 because as I was doing the course, I realized that this is something that I do a lot of, and I feel like it makes a badass powerhouse business model. So I hope you like it. It is about identifying your points of difference. You have the value proposition, what the business really resonates in its field, but then there's also things that that kind of reinforce creating a positive feedback loop and small continuous improvements. And also that comes with really listening to the frustrations of the market. So this step is about like is understanding what people are frustrated about in the market that you operate in, and then solving that problem, and then that creates more of a magnetic selling proposition because you're automatically providing the thing that they want and need. And so really it starts with listening and always like being willing to ask the question of and look into what people are frustrated about and what they're finding challenging in the industry and that other people are doing. When we came into the Fox market, the first thing I did is to understand what people were frustrated about, not about what competitors are doing and trying to match them, but to see what clients were actually saying really pissed them off in the market. And some of the things for us, for our industry that we were building into, was one was that people would treat the home, like trades would treat the home with disrespect, kind of messy. They would like quoting times, like people would come in, they'd book a quote, they'd come and quote, but then they'd never get a quote sent back. I actually had one of our competitors come to my place and quote wardrobes, and they measured it up. They came in, he spent like 15 minutes there and then literally left, and I never received an email quote from it. And so just like market research, understanding what people really not providing for clients and what clients are really wanting. And then the other thing was the frustration around, so we had the cleanliness, we had the delays in getting quotes out, and then also, so when people would engage trades to do work, it was really unreliable as to when they would get the job delivered. So what I found was like trade, and I was speaking to other traders in the market, and their fear was that if they book a deadline, they don't deliver. But what was happening was they would leave it to the last minute. They'd finally get the job ready, and then they would call the client and try to organize it. And then it could take weeks before the client's ready because they had to book a day of leave or whatever. And it was really like last minute, not well planned. The three things that we did to really, as a points of difference, was to solve these problems. So cleanliness was a massive focus. Lots of blankets. We even got our guys shoe covers to use at times when it was needed. We vacuum. Every van has an epic vacuum. They leave the place cleaner than when they arrived. That's one of our like big primary goals. Two is that when we do a quote, we built a quoting system. We actually used the Square Reader, just dumped all of our financial data and pricing into that, and then the guys would leave a design, a hand drawn design, and a price with the client, but not a heavy, like a hard sell on the spot, like those like cheesy sales strategies, but just to provide the people with like quick, trustworthy, transparent pricing and leave it with them so that they were receiving real time pricing. And the third thing was to deliver, like we would, so that every salesperson had access to the calendar and the reception, so that as soon as a client wanted to pay deposit or they wanted to lock in a date, our sales team and the reception could book the install date. So we created a system where we created spaces that everyone knew how to fill those spaces with a template, so that when a client pays deposit, they get an immediate date, and then we deliver when we say we're going to deliver. And so we created systems around that so that we know that a painted job takes 4 weeks, so don't book it within 4 weeks. A standard simple job can take 1 to 3 weeks. But now, because we work with deadlines and because we've built such credibility in the market, we now have a 6 to 8 week of 5 to 6 installs every day booked in deadline. So clients know and have like a realistic time frame of when they're going to get their job delivered. So we literally solved those three key frustrations that they had. And this just creates absolute magnetic selling because it's like you're already solving the problem and talking to the frustration that the client has, and all it takes is listening and then solving the problem. So the market is always giving you feedback if you're willing to listen. So collect industry frustrations. Start by asking or noticing, what do clients complain about before they even meet us? What do they say when they're relieved after choosing us? What phrases keep coming up in reviews, inquiries, or sales calls? Doing some Google research and understanding what are the complaints. Is there article, like with the Chalazi seat, I googled the market, like seating at outdoor events, and a whole Sydney Morning Herald article came up that with this like frustration around these big camping chairs blocking views. So if there's an article about it, there must be some frustration. So how do I solve that? I provide a seat that sits on the ground, doesn't block anyone's view. Then it's an easy sell to events because we've got the solution that they need. So listening, researching, understanding what are the like, because you've got a product or service and you can really build around that a lot. There's actually so many frustrations that aren't even specifically about the product or service. A lot of people are trying to make this outstanding product, but they forget that actually the business and the client interaction is way broader than that. It's how we show up, how we clean up after ourselves, how we ship the product, how we install the product, how we communicate, so all of these steps create an outstanding end-to-end service, which creates a stronger brand, which creates a bigger asset value, which creates clear expectations for the team and for the client. So this is all gold, and frustrations are gold, and learning that client feedback is gold, and not I'm going to hide from that, but actually building it into your business as a process of wanting client feedback, wanting to understand their frustrations. This will help you to build a business that meets the needs of the client and solve the problems, and will naturally lead to the expansion of your business. So translate frustration into a promise of delivery, and do whatever you can to deliver. So one of our values at Fox is do what we say we're going to do, and we deliver. And the whole team can quote that because they know it's like we've actually got it in signs in the factory, but it's like one of our statements of delivery. So at Fox, this is an example. Frustration, trades take forever to quote. Well, our response, on spot quoting. Frustration, no one locks in install dates until the last minute. Our response, install dates booked at the moment of deposit, shared calendar access. Frustration, trades leave home dirty and disrespectful. Our response, shoe covers, blankets, cleanliness. These weren't marketing slogans, they actually become operational standards. So systemize the difference. A point of difference only works if it's repeatable. So write it up. So the next step in this course is about mapping the journey of the client. So write this into your journey and the client's journey map. Does the whole team know it's not non-negotiable? Can the customers feel it without us explaining it? And that's what becomes part of your resonant field. It becomes of like your magnetism. And this is where the sales playbook, also at the end of this process, the last step is to write up your sales playbook, which then builds and grows the system of your business as the business grows. It gets that out of your head into the consciousness of the business. So sell the relief. In magnetic sales, you're not selling features, you're selling relief from the pain. So instead of saying we're high quality and professional, you're saying you won't be left waiting, guessing, or cleaning up after us. That's what people buy. They are buying from you the value that you provide, and the value is much more than just the product or service. It's the whole experience, and it's the trust. It's the care that you bring to it. It's the problems that you solve, but it's the way that you solve it, not just the solution itself. So reflection prompt. So take 10 minutes and answer the following questions. What are the top 3 frustrations in my industry? Which one could I completely eliminate? What systems or promises would make that visible to the customer? Your strongest point of difference is usually hiding inside someone else's complaint. So take away, once you've completed this step, once you've got 1 to 3 critical points of difference and you've got them written down, and they're going to come into your sales playbook. Hit us up for feedback, share your wins and clarities in the group of the chat group so we can all celebrate with you, and provide me feedback. If there's anything that you want improved in this course, let us know, and looking forward to seeing you on the next step.